around an acronym. I tried to organize this around the acronym of SPEED. So I wanted to look at the obstacles to steadiness, and within the topic itself, I wanted to focus on obstacles to steadiness in bhakti. Because there are so many things we could do for material obstacles as well. But I thought this topic today, we will focus on obstacles to steadiness in our devotional practice or bhakti. So this acronym SPEED, the few things that I picked up that we will go into a little more detail today is S for sadhana, P for prayer, E for our external environment and the impact of the environment on us. Another E for what the effect of association and the impact of the three modes of material nature. And then finally, D for desire. How strong is our desire? Some of the questions that we will look at is, in sadhana, how consistent is our daily spiritual practice? How pure is our prayer? What is the impact of our external environment? What is the effect of the association and the three modes? And then how strong is our desire to stay on the spiritual path? First, sadhana. So how consistent is our daily spiritual practice? First example I wanted to take from Bhagavatam, and throughout these points, I'll just try to pick up some examples from Srimad Bhagavatam and gather some learnings from it. If anybody has any questions in between or towards the end, just feel free to ask. The first example in sadhana I thought of was Vishwamitra Muni. So he did a lot of austerities and tried to perfect his meditation and his sadhana, but there was this one instance in which Indra, who was envious of this, sent Menaka to disturb his meditative practice and austerity. And when he sent Menaka, although Vishwamitra was deep in meditation, his eyes closed, he was totally focused on his meditation, he could still hear the ankle bells or anklets of Menaka, who was a celestial girl. And just by hearing that, his meditation broke, his sadhana got disturbed. And I take this example to show that the discipline that we need in our sadhana is very important. If there is any breakage in that, even great rishis like Vishwamitra had to fall down as a result of that breakage in their sadhana practice. Another good example from our Shastras is about Prahlad Maharaj. And Prahlad Maharaj was a devotee since his birth, when Narad Muni had spoken to him even when he was in his mother's womb. And since his birth and since the very early days, he used to constantly focus on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His sadhana, his mind was totally and completely devoted to the Supreme Lord. And as a result of that, his father, who was a demon, Hiranyakashipu, he tried to first persuade him into demoniac practices. Then later on, when he was not convinced, he tried to kill his own son, because Hiranyakashipu was the head of the demons at that time, the demon king, and his son himself was going against him and thinking about Lord Vishnu. So he tried to kill him. And Prahlad Maharaj's sadhana was so perfect, so undeterred, that death could not even come near him. He tried to get him killed through various means, throwing him into burning oil, throwing him from the top of mountain cliffs. Nothing. Lord Vishnu always saved his devotee because he was in constant sadhana. So that is the extreme example of how perfect we need to make our sadhana, and any deviation, any slippage from that path can lead to disastrous results. Next, I wanted to look at prayer. How pure is our prayer? And uh, prayer is that medium through which we can invoke the mercy of our previous acharyas, all the way up to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And one of the examples from our Shastras of, praying is uh, a bad example is Hiranyakashipu. He did austerities for thousands of years, and the most extreme austerities, I don't know in from the Srimad Bhagavatam stories if there is anybody else who did more austerities there than Hiranyakashipu. And his prayer, when because of his austerity so much heat came out of him, the demigods were all scared and agitated. They went to Lord Brahma and asked Lord Brahma to help them, because they were not able to bear the heat which was coming out of Hiranyakashipu's body because of his austerity. Lord Brahma came, and Hiranyakashipu prayed to him and asked him for the boon of immortality. We all know this story. Lord Brahma said, even I am not immortal, so how can I grant you immortality? Which is where then he negotiated a boon, fail-safe clause in that boon, so that I will not be killed by any animal or man, neither in the day nor in the night, neither in the sky nor in the land. So all those clauses he embedded in that one boon that he prayed to Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma gave him that. Even then, because he was a demon, ultimately Nrsingadev came and killed him. On the other extreme, a great example of prayer is Dhruv Maharaj. He was very upset when he wanted to just sit on the lap of his father, and his stepmother really chastised him and told him that he can only sit on the lap of his father if he could take birth from her womb. And he was so upset. He went to his mother, relayed the entire story to her, and her mother said, I know it's not pleasing, but in a way what she's saying is right, that you have to ultimately pray to God, and just because you've taken birth from my womb, I would not be able to help you. Somebody higher has to help you. And so she asked him to go and meditate in the forest on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He went to the forest. He met Narad Muni, his spiritual master, who tried to test him by dissuading him, saying, you're a young child, why do you have to do this? Go back, you won't be able to survive in the forest. But being a Kshatriya, Dhruv Maharaj said, no, I'm sorry, I will not be able to take this instruction. I will go to the forest and do this tapasya, because I am looking for a kingdom much higher than even my father, much higher than my grandfather Brahma. So he goes, and Narad Muni then blesses him, and as a spiritual master, he gives him a mantra, and he says, okay, so you can, when you go and meditate on the Lord, you can chant this mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Dhruv Maharaj does that, and he prays with the purity of a young soul, and Krishna is so pleased with his purity. He comes, and when he comes, although Dhruv Maharaj was praying for something material, when he sees the Lord face to face, he just falls on his feet, and he's not even able to create a prayer. So Lord Krishna, who sits in our heart as Paramatma, he could read the Dhruva Maharaj's mind. He puts his conch on the head of Dhruva Maharaj so that he could now at least form some prayers, after which Dhruva Maharaj creates and prays to the Lord properly, how it should be done. And he says, looking at you, I came to ask for material wealth and opulence, which is like glass, not even pearls. It's like glass. I only want your devotional service. And this was such a pure prayer that Lord Krishna granted him that, and also granted him amazing kingdom as and a life of a king. And he says, after the end of the life, you will still remember me, and you will be able to come back to me. So his pure prayer was accepted. And that is the mood and how we should pray to the Lord. Third one, when we look at the environment, we look at a couple of examples on what is the impact of the external environment for us. And this is especially true for us, people living in Kali Yuga, because Kali Yuga is the most degraded of the 4 yugas, as we know. And the impact is very strong. In fact, in Kali Yuga it is said, if you even think of something positive, something good, you get the benefit of that. And only if you do something wrong will you get the negative impact of that. One example that I want to take on the impact of the environment is Bharat Maharaj, a great king who renounced his kingdom and came to the forest to do his meditation. And when he was doing his meditation, he felt compassionate towards a she deer who was pregnant and was being chased in the forest. And right before dying, she gave birth to this baby deer. And Bharat Maharaj went quickly out of his compassion to save that baby deer. And he would get, he would keep it near, he would feed it, so much so that his daily practice of concentrating on the divine got sidetracked. It got, deprioritized because of his affection for the deer. Now, this does not mean that as souls and jivas, we should not be compassionate towards other jiva souls. But I think the learning here is that the center of all our meditation, our prayers, our practices should be Krishna. And if that gets confused or muddled, it leads us on a very different path, and it keeps us in the material world. And the pictures are here of what Bharat Maharaj had to go through because of his affection and his full concentration on the deer. And when the deer left him, he left his body thinking only about the deer, and at the next life he got the life of a deer, and then had to come back for a third life before going back. So in terms of the environment, this is the impact of the deer which was external to Bharat Maharaj. When we look at the other positive extreme example in Kali Yuga, the one huge benefit that we have in Kali Yuga is this Sankirtan movement, given to us by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and introduced to us by Srila Prabhupada, especially in the Western world. Srila Prabhupada, said very famously that all our temples that we've opened up are like Vaikunthas. Even though we are living in the material world, and I don't know if you're aware, there are temples in Las Vegas. We have a temple in Las Vegas, and if I think at least about Las Vegas as a city, it is the headquarters of all the 4 things that we are asked not to do: gambling, intoxication, illicit sex. So the Sankirtan movement, started by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and given to us by Srila Prabhupada, allows us to fight the environment of Kali Yuga that we are living in just by chanting the holy name and spreading it. For the 4th E, the effect was, what is the effect of association and the modes of material nature. I wanted to discuss or give the example of Ajamil, who was a Brahmin, and just by looking at an illicit action by a prostitute, he got so agitated and so distracted from his spiritual path that he ended up marrying the prostitute, having 10 kids with her, and it led him into a total negative direction in his life. And that was the impact of that few moments of that association, not even from close, from afar. So we have to be very, very careful about our association. In fact, in Nectar of Instruction, Srila Rupa Goswami tells us that devotees should totally throw aside bad association. We have to watch what we eat and what we feed to our thoughts and consciousness in terms of our association. And from our acharyas, I wanted to take the example of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who famously used to do his chanting even if it takes him to a toilet. And people used to ask him, how can you tolerate the stench of sitting in a toilet? And he would say that I would rather sit in the toilet and chant my rounds, chant my japa, than to have bad association of materialistic people who are just looking for some false blessings from a Babaji. I would rather spend all my time here to protect myself from bad association. And that is an extreme good example of how much we need to watch our association. And then finally, on desire, how strong is our desire to stay on the spiritual path? And one example I want to take about that is of King Yayati. He was married to Devyani, and the story about King Yayati is he had a few sons. He was married to Devyani, who was the daughter of Shukracharya Brahman, and Yayati was a Kshatriya king. And Devyani had a girlfriend named Sharmishta, and although they were friends, one day when Lord Shiva was passing by, they were taking a bath in the river, and Sharmishta just wanted to cover her, so in haste she just wore Devyani's clothes. Devyani was very upset with that, and she chastised Sharmishta for taking her clothes. Sharmishta was really upset with Devyani for chastising her for such a small thing. She threw Devyani in the well, and Devyani got really upset. When she told her father Shukracharya, he was going to curse Sharmishta, and Sharmishta's father apologized to Shukracharya and offered her daughter Sharmishta as the maidservant of Devyani. So now Devyani came to live in the palace, and she saw that Devyani had a baby from King Yayati, and Sharmishta also had that desire and wanted to get a baby from King Yayati, and they had intercourse, and Devyani found out about it. She again got very angry, went to her father Shukracharya, who was so upset with Yayati that he gave him a curse that instantly you become old. So Yayati pleaded to him, and Shukracharya said, okay, if any of your sons wants to exchange their youth with you, you can regain your youth back. So Yayati asks all his sons, and everybody says no. Then he goes to his youngest son Puru, and he urges him that it is your duty to help your father. And Puru agrees, and Puru exchanges his youth with his father. And Yayati becomes instantly youthful, enjoys for 1,000 years, uh, and at the end he realizes how useless this desire is. So if we have desires for material life and uh, enjoying in the material universe for ourselves only, we can keep doing that till our karma, good karma, pious activities allow, but there is always an end to it. And it is only a very useless long cycle to keep doing that, because it perpetuates our stay in the material world. um, so that's one example. The other example I wanted to take and show here today is of Mother Yashoda in the Damodar Leela. She has a desire to capture Krishna, and she tries to do that. She tries to bind him with ropes, and one after the other, all the entire ropes in her house uh, prove to be too short, two fingers too short to bind Krishna. She gets all these help and rope from all the other Brajvasis, but all the time when she's extending that rope, she's finding that rope to be two fingers too short to bind Krishna. But her desire to capture Krishna is very pure and very strong. And towards the end of the day, Krishna takes mercy on her, and uh, because of his mercy, he lets her bind him with that rope. So that's one example of having a very strong spiritual desire. So now, if we go back and think about the obstacles to getting steady in our bhakti, we can think of these obstacles as tests that we have to pass to be promoted in our bhakti, to gain some speed in our bhakti. So from that perspective, if we think of our sadhana, we have to let this be our armor of protection. Our sadhana practice has to be so strong that it becomes the armor of our protection. Our prayer, this has to be our mood, always in a prayerful mood, to get the mercy of our previous acharyas, the Guru Parampara, and ultimately Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself. For the environment, we have to think of this to be our sandbox environment. We are here, we keep playing with these things, and hopefully at the end of this life, make this our last sojourn in the material universe, so that we can all go back to Godhead. If we think about the effect of association and the modes, we have to think of them as our trainers. Like we go to a gym and we do strength training, we should think of the three modes of material nature as our trainers, which we have to constantly strain ourselves, stretch our muscles to train with them. And we get regular practice, especially in this age of Kali Yuga, for that. And finally, when we think of our desires, we pray that let this be our heart's choice, because Krishna always allows for free will, and he wants us back, but he wants us to desire to go back to him through our own free will. So Prabhu, I'll stop here and see if there are any questions from anyone.
Hare Krishna. So Prabhu, I'll just take a minute to introduce some of the programs we do, and then we can take the question and answers more like a interactive.
Yes,
So
Prabhu.
devotees, I request please either write your question on the chat room or raise your hand. You can unmute yourself. Just give me 30 seconds. I'll just introduce some of our programs we conduct here at ISKCON of Bergen. And give me just 1 minute. Okay. Hopefully my screen is visible. Okay. So this is the beautiful website, ISKCON of Bergen. .org, and our dear Radha Shyam Sundar and Karnitai. So we conduct this Wednesday Sangha every Wednesday 8:30 to 9:30, the same Zoom, and devotees, the speakers around the world are invited, and very nice beautiful topics are discussed. So please join that on Wednesdays. On Sunday, this Sunday will be Sunday Love Peace program. Will be there at our center in Paramus, and Sameshwar Prabhu will be talking about the Jnana to Prema journey, and why verse 10. We do Bhakti Vriksha programs every Friday, and those who are local around the New Jersey area and want to join. So we conduct programs around Parsippany and Paramus area. So feel free to click on this, join us, and we'll connect you with one of the Bhakti Rich programs. Midday Bhagavad Gita reading, Monday to Friday on the same Zoom. Daily morning on the same Zoom. We do the Japa session 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Tomorrow is Ekadasi. Take the advantage of this association. Um, and the ISKCON calendar, it has all the details of festivals coming up, and the Ekadasi time and the Paran time. So tomorrow for New Jersey residents, there's a Pandava Nirjala Ekadasi, and the breakfast time is next day, Friday, 5:26 a.m. till 10 o'clock, till 10:28. So with that, I'll go back to our question answers now. Let me stop share. Okay, so let me see. If anybody has any question, feel free to unmute yourself, and we can have a nice conversation about the question answers now. So while devotees asking question, may I ask one question, Prabhuji?
Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhu. Now we can hear you. This is a little choppy.
Okay, is it better?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hare Krishna, Raghavacharya Prabhu, physics and number obeisances,
Hi,
Shishla
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Dhanavad Pram. Jai Shri Prabhu.
Thank you for the full class. Wanted to ask you, one of the reasons I chose this topic, or I suggested this topic, was also because you are in a place, unlike cities where there is something happening all the time. There's a lot of association, but there in Vrindavan, in the winter months, pretty much there's very few devotees and all, and it's very difficult in a farm community to not only take care of our services, the farm community, and but also our own sadhana plus family health, everything. And many times we see, although some devotees have been there since inception or for many years, like Prabhupada disciples, a few of them, but at the same time, we've seen many devotees come and go. And same thing happens in Krishna consciousness, where there is highs and there is lows. But in that situation there, how important it is not only to have association, but to have good association, which may not always be possible to remain consistent in Krishna consciousness. And what other means would you recommend to devotees to not worry about the highs and lows, not to worry about, today I don't feel like doing, but despite all that, to keep going? Any recommendations, suggestions?
it's it's something that I struggle with myself, Prabhu, because like you said, there's a lot of attrition in New Vrindavan. Uh, I have not been a permanent member of temple administration in CNJ or even ISV, the communities we were earlier part of. So I'd never seen temple communities from that side. It was always I had a material life. I would work 5 days pretty much, but then the weekend would be devoted to some devotional practice. And we had wonderful association in both places. We started our first Bhakti Vriksha in CNJ, and then ISV was a lot of book distribution, and we used to have a lot of home programs there. So association, like you said, definitely helps. In New Vrindavan, when we came, uh, this is the Dham. This is, Prabhupada said, New Vrindavan is non-different than Vrindavan Dham. And so the energy of Radha Vrindavan Chandra we feel here. The energy at the Srila Prabhupada's palace you feel there. And when we serve in the Dham, Dham reveals itself to you. So that potency of the Dham helps us with the sadhana. Uh, but the desire has to be very strong, because Vrindavan I feel the Vrindavan energies can be very strong also. They test you. And if you are not steady in your path, it is difficult to absorb them, and there is a chance of fall down. So the one thing that recently I heard from Gauranga Prabhu, I resonate with that, is it's good to get inspiration from senior devotees, Guru Maharaj, when they come and they're able to spend time with us, but that's not always available. So we have to quickly turn that inspiration into some sort of a daily discipline, and daily discipline is sadhana. Once we have that strong daily discipline or sadhana that can protect our spiritual practice, it becomes easier and the mercy flows. So yes, challenges come, but also, Lord Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra are here. Their mercy also comes and protects your bhakti. Uh, we have to watch our association, especially I struggle with Prajalpa. It is so easy, even with devotees, when we talk and you're talking to close devotees, that we get sidetracked into talking about third parties and people and complaining about things, and soon you realize that you are falling into that trap of Prajalpa. So if we can correct that, uh, pick our association like we pick our prasadam and food. We would not eat any meat, we would not eat onion, garlic. Same way, we should pick our association so that we do not associate with uh, people with more negative thoughts, and pick our like-minded association with people who have higher sadhana than us. That's helpful. In one of the lectures I also heard, you have to look at good association, and if there is nothing at all available, you create good association. So for example, when your entire congregation came here, it was so nice to see that you kept them tightly together through the programs, even though you were in New Vrindavan Dham. You were following your own program. You were keeping the congregation tight. You gave them a Bhagavatam class. They asked questions. So we have to protect our association that way. And if nothing is available, we have to start creating good association, starting with our family and then for others also. Um, so, long-winded answer to your question, Prabhu, but I think that's how I would approach it.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else has any question? Let me see the chat room. Okay, so while devotees, we encourage you to ask questions. And just a short announcement, tomorrow is a special day. The Pandav Nirjala Ekadasi tomorrow, and it has a lot of benefits, spiritual benefits. Those who have missed Ekadasi or somehow broke the fast incorrectly, then Pandav Nirjala Ekadasi is one of those that if you observe this Ekadasi, especially in Nirjala, then it will have all the same spiritual benefits as doing the Ekadasi for all the Ekadasis of the year. So I encourage that read the story of Ekadasi. It's there on our website as well as it's there on ISKCON Desire Tree as well. Um, okay, any other questions here? Okay, don't see any. Maybe I'm just maybe not able to catch you. If anybody raise the hand or unmute, please feel just just start speaking. Might be easier. Um, so Prabhuji, there's one question I have is like you are in the you're the disciple of His Holiness Varsana Swami Maharaj, who is very hard to find um, away from New Vrindavan. So you're very fortunate, and we had opportunity to listen him, hear him in the last trip. Please share some of the pastimes of Maharaj, especially something which people may not know about, and how you really maybe just take it like an opportunity to glorify and like how you find it. Like he's Chetasanya, so I'm curious to know your inclinations.
Yes, bro. That's such a beautiful question. Um, we used to come to New Vrindavan since 2018, and we would come here for a week, sometimes for entire winter break. Then I've also stayed here for a month, working remotely from here. But 2018, 19, 20, only in 21 did we ever hear about Maharaj. For the first 4 years, we were in New Vrindavan. We spoke to everyone. We would stay here. We would find out stories about New Vrindavan. We never heard of Vashana Maharaj. And now I think, how is that even possible? And the first time we heard him was on Christmas Day in 2021. And the devotee said, no need to serve in the kitchen today. Just go and hear this lecture. It's a special lecture. He usually goes beyond the 1 hour allocated. It'll be lovely. Just go and attend that. So we sat down, both me and my wife, and we heard him glorify Tulsi Maharani on Christmas Day. He started with the biblical stories. I don't know if devotees know, he's not just an expert in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam, which he really loves, but he also has read the Bible, and he knows about Christianity in and out, and he's able to connect with what really Christianity is preaching. And it was so wonderful to hear from him how he took us from the Christmas and why Christmas tree is important to the importance of the highest tree in the spiritual world, which is the Tulsi plant. And we were really just uh, we were we didn't know how to react, what happened to us, and both me and my wife asked asked for his shelter the next day when we met him. Uh, he's he he helped excavate the site for Palace of Gold, which is now a historic site. And I don't know if people know, it used to be a dump site back in the day. So it's just that the site was at a very high elevation and they looked at all the possibilities. And he created from that dump site, they created it into a palace of gold, which is now, when you come and see, it is one of the wonders in, at least in West Virginia. Uh, all the lakes that have been excavated in New Vrindavan, he's done it himself. And till this day, even though his health does not allow, he every day he goes out and does something that has to do with Dham Seva. So he treats this new Vrindavan Dham and the Dham Seva as his instruction from his spiritual master, and he works on it every day, no matter what, even though his health doesn't allow. And he's excavated the Kusum Sarovar, Radha Kund, Shama Kund. Recently, he's excavated Govinda Kund in Vrindaville, where he's also created Raghavacharya's cave that he showed, where Raghavacharya in Govardhan used to live, and the Anior Hill. And some of the rocks in Anior Hill, if you see, even with heavy machinery, I don't think professionals can pull it. And so he would pull it from one heavy machinery, and another heavy machinery, Ishan Prabhu who lives here, would push it, and they would take it up the hill to create that Anior Hill. And it is almost impossible to move those rocks. I think just because of his pure devotion, he can move them. One thing that surprises me till date is his humility. He doesn't force anything. He would not say, go do this. He would, even if it takes years, he would wait, he will inspire you, and he will wait for you to come to that conclusion. So he will just plant the seed, water it, and he will let it grow. I find it very similar to Krishna giving free will. Krishna is waiting for us more eagerly than we are waiting to go to him, but he grants that free will. Only when we desire do we go back to him. Maharaj never interferes with free will either. I've never seen him put his foot down and say, no, go do this. He would wait for you. He may not like certain things, and it is very difficult to judge by his reaction. But he's very, very humble. He lives in that small cottage, and he even calls that luxurious. So all the luxury items that you see around him, including cars nowadays, are all things that disciples are giving to him, and he feels very uncomfortable with that, and he's very comfortable with his small things that he has. He's very close to the animals and Mother Nature, very close to Mother Nature. In fact, when he was excavating the kunds back in the day, his excavation used to go well into the night, 12, 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock sometimes. And Maharaj says there was no light at that time, during in Vrindavan, it was very dark. So he used to move his heavy machinery and really feel Mother Earth almost with closed eyes. So that is the connection that he has since childhood with Mother Earth, that he can feel what needs to be done, where to excavate, and what not to touch. You will find in a lot of places, if he sees Mother Earth uncovered, just barren, he would make sure that we put the hay bales to cover it. Because he says, Mother Earth, it's your mother, it cannot be left uncovered, you have to cover it. So that is his mood. And Prabhupada said New Vrindavan is not different than Vrindavan, and he treats that instruction to the T. He says, I never find any reason to go outside of New Vrindavan. I love to stay in New Vrindavan. So when people ask, hey, you don't go here, you don't go there? So he says, I don't see any reason why I would leave New Vrindavan. And that is his dedication to New Vrindavan Dham.
Thank you, Prabhuji. That's so beautiful, so sweet. And it reflects that what's keeping you steadfast in your sadhana. So that's great. Okay, devotees, if anybody has any questions, anything, feel free. This is last call for that. So, Prabhuji, whenever you visit, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Who's this?
Prabhu,
Prabhuji.
tomorrow's, I think somebody did text Prabhu in the chat box, but Prabhu, one question I have is tomorrow's Pandava Nirjala Ekadashi. So can you share some significance to, some are new, how important it is to do some austerity? on tomorrow's date and the significance of tomorrow's Ekadashi.
Prabhu, me or Gopal Govind Prabhu?
No, Prabhu,
No,
आपके लिए
yourself.
बोला.
Sure, Prabhu. Pandava Nirjala Ekadashi, my understanding is, Krishna allowed that Ekadashi especially for Bhim, who said, it's very difficult for me to keep fast and not eat food. So he gave this exemption. Like Prabhupada gave us the exemption instead of chanting 64 rounds that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj had prescribed. Prabhupada said, okay, you must at least do 16. So that was like an exemption. And in a very similar way, Krishna granted that exemption for especially Bhim in the Pandavas to say, okay, you don't have to do any other Ekadasi, but if you do this one Ekadasi, you will get the benefit of all the Ekadasis. So that is the significance of this one Ekadasi tomorrow. If we are able to do this austerity for one day, it will help us with the full potency of all the other Ekadasis. And austerity is it's a very nice thing in our life. If, for example, if we do something difficult ourselves, it is more palatable and it gives us the benefit. But if we don't do it ourselves and the universe forces it on us, prescribes it to us, and for just take an example of, if we don't get any food, we are so hungry, we don't get any food because of whatever condition in life universe is putting us, we will feel really miserable. But if we take on that austerity ourselves, once for Ekadasi every fortnight, we are training our body, we are training ourselves. And especially for males, it is said that they get their strength from austerity. So these austerities, these opportunities that we get through Ekadasi are very important for us. For females, it is said they get their strength from their chastity towards their husbands. So that is the significance of the Ekadasi Vrat tomorrow. And whatever we can do, if we can do Nirjala throughout, the focus for whatever time we save should be on our spiritual practice. It gives us that much more time. It also gives us that much more strength later on. There are a lot of material benefits of fasting throughout, especially during Ekadasi, that scientists are now finding. So it's a wonderful thing to do. It regenerates our cells when we fast for that long. So it's a wonderful thing to do. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, so thank you everyone. Looks like there's no more queries, so we'll wrap up the session now. Thank you, Raghavacharya Prabhu, for giving your time, and would like to request you, when you visit New Jersey, please allow us to serve you. It'll be so nice to have you here. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu, for allowing me.
Yes.
And you guys are
Krishna.
already so well versed in Shastras. I feel that it was a very basic presentation. But thank you for letting me share it today.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव भक्त वृंद की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, ताई गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल. Have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Devotees, you can unmute yourself. Say Hari Bol. Thank you for.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
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 Ram Hare
Ram
Ram
Hare
Ram
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 Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.